What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we've got our Week 8 NFL game picks outright versus the spread, along with our locks of the week, so make sure to tune in. If you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? We will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get right into it. And before looking at our breakdowns, I do want to highlight OddsJam once again because it continues to be the place that I use for all of my NFL betting research. And really, whether it's the NFL or any other sport as well, this is your one-stop shop. Everything from live line shopping to really guaranteeing you are going to get the best odds available to, offering betting research. OddsJam is that destination. On top of that, whether you're a beginner or an expert, take advantage of OddsJam's betting tools, like their positive EV tool, which gives you line discrepancies so you know you're getting the best odds. It's essentially getting a mathematical edge and getting guaranteed money in the long run because you're finding live bets that are on sale and getting great value. Or their arbitrage tool, which gives you equal and opposite bets for a risk-free return. So again, make sure to check out OddsJam, link in the description. But with that being said, let's kick it off, and we start with the Denver Broncos at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, do note this game is actually in London, so no real home field advantage per se. The Jaguars are favored at -2.5 for what it is worth. Now, a couple things to note here. The Denver Broncos will be getting Russell Wilson back after he missed last week's game with a hamstring. How much does that really matter? I mean, depends who you ask, because there's a narrative out there that there's other injuries on top of the hamstring, that there's coaching issues, that, we might see a head coaching change midway into the season, which would be crazy. The offense just not executing. Obviously, when Javonte Williams went down, that didn't help. But just really, really underperforming. And on the other side, you've got a Jacksonville Jaguars team that I do think is, below to average in terms of their skills. The Broncos do have a solid defense for what it's worth. And, Trevor Lawrence has been prone to some mistakes. If you look at the offensive talent, I do think the Broncos are the more talented team. But again, it all depends on what happens to the quarterback position. And right now, I think Trevor Lawrence is playing better football than Russell Wilson, or, the coaching is working a little bit better. And then Jacksonville shouldn't be, slept on defensively either, especially with how much the Broncos have been struggling. The Jaguars did trade away James Robinson, so it is going to be the Travis Etienne show here for the remainder of the season. That'll be nice to see. But look, I think this is going to be a game that's probably going to be a little bit lower scoring. I expect in the realms of 17-14, 20-17. I just don't see the Jaguars blowing away the Broncos or vice versa. Pretty much the majority of games that the Broncos have been in as of late have been a one-possession game. So I'm going to go with that mindset. The Jaguars, again, favored at -2.5. I got to go with them right now. I think they're a little bit healthier, but I will hedge my bets. I think this is very much so a game that could go either way. So I'll go with the Jaguars outright. But then maybe if you can tease that spread, get the Broncos to like +3.5, something like that, go with Denver that way. Moving on, we have got the Carolina Panthers at the Atlanta Falcons. Somehow, whoever wins this game is going to be winning the NFC South, which sounds crazy. I don't know how the Panthers beat the Tampa Bay Bucks last week. Obviously the Bucks aren't as good as we thought, but still the Panthers, I continue to believe, are one of the worst teams in the NFL. PJ Walker is not a starting caliber quarterback. Christian McCaffrey is in San Francisco. Offensively, you're pretty much just left with DJ Moore, and that's it. You've got a good offensive line. You've got good pieces defensively, but this isn't going to be a season where you see all of that come together. Now, to be fair, the Atlanta Falcons aren't anything special either. They've got some pieces, but it seems like they're a run-first oriented team. The Falcons are favored here by -4, and while I do think they will win this game, again, I just don't believe the Panthers are going to be able to potentially sweep the series. I'm going to say that they, split it at Atlanta. Tough environment, tough place to play in. Give me the Atlanta Falcons. I think it'll be a very close game. However, both teams will have a chance to win. Again, both these teams are below average, saying it nicely. The Falcons at -4. I think that's a little bit too large of a spread. I will actually take the Panthers there on the points. Then moving on, we have got the Chicago Bears at the Dallas Cowboys. Again, another situation where I don't know how the Bears beat the New England Patriots last week, but obviously having the Patriots going back and forth between quarterbacks didn't help. The defense stepped up, and Justin Fields was able to have success on the ground. That's the formula that the Bears need to employ. They traded away Robert Quinn, but he wasn't really contributing too much on that defensive line. But look, the Cowboys, especially with Dak Prescott back, are a different caliber of team than the New England Patriots. This game is in Dallas. The Cowboys have a very stingy defense. Ezekiel Elliott not expected to play, but it shouldn't matter too much. You've still got Tony Pollard, who is very, very talented. You've got CeeDee Lamb. You've got the much better weapons offensively. You've got the better quarterback. It's just a matter of, how much has he rehabbed from his injury. I think realistically speaking, the Cowboys have the advantage in every single category. Give me the Dallas Cowboys to win this game outright. The spread is really where it gets a little bit tougher because one of the larger spreads of the week, -10 in favor of Dallas. But I do think this could be a game where it is a blowout and we see the real Chicago Bears, and that's a team that's not all that great. Give me the Dallas Cowboys to cover that spread. Moving on, we've got the Miami Dolphins at the Detroit Lions. So Detroit is an underdog at +3.5. Tua obviously made his return last week versus the Steelers. It was a game where he got the victory, but didn't look all that great per se. I think here versus this Detroit Lions defense, the Miami Dolphins are going to have a lot of success, whether it's on the ground, whether it's via guys like Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. I do like Tua to lead the Dolphins to a victory. For the Detroit Lions, though, look, they're expected to get DeAndre Swift back finally. Amon-Ra St. Brown is expected to play following his, quote-unquote concussion. So they're going to have those weapons returning as well. I think it's going to be a closer game than people expect for what it's worth. But the spread at +3.5, what I would do here is I would lower that spread, tease that spread to like +2, +2.5, then go Miami outright and on the spread that way. Following this, we've got the Arizona Cardinals at the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are at -3.5. Now, the Cardinals coming off a huge win, but they had a lot of defensive help, and I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case here versus a Vikings team at home. Kirk Cousins, not a quarterback that's going to force it. He's got guys like a Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook. I like the Minnesota Vikings here. Yes, DeAndre Hopkins coming back was a huge help for Kyler Murray, but outside of him, who else do you have? James Conner not expected to play again, so it's going to be the Eno Benjamin show. The Cardinals offensively, again, if it wasn't for those defensive touchdowns last week, they weren't all that elite offensively. I don't think they're going to be able to keep pace with the Minnesota Vikings here. I like the Vikings to win at home. Give me Minnesota outright. They just don't have as many scoring issues as the Cardinals. They come out quicker out of the gate. I'll take the Vikings outright on the spread, -3.5. Not that huge of a number. I'm going to ride with the Vikings there as well. Then we go to the Raiders at the New Orleans Saints. So here, this is a game where Andy Dalton will be starting again. Michael Thomas will be out again. So it's going to be the Chris Olave show. You put in Alvin Kamara there as well. I do think this is going to be a game where the Saints are going to have to pass a ton. And the Raiders, they've been on fire. Josh Jacobs playing like a top 3 running back in the NFL. Devontae Adams doing his thing. I think the Raiders can win this game. The spread is almost non-existent. It's +1.5 in favor of New Orleans. It is a tough environment to play in, but I just don't believe right now in Andy Dalton all that much. I do think he's a better fit offensively than what Jameis Winston would be, and the offense is more balanced, but I think you're going to need a little bit more to keep pace with a high, scoring offense like the Raiders have the ability to be. So give me the Las Vegas Raiders here to win this game with that formula of Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, and Derek Carr doing just enough. I think it'll be close, but with that spread of plus 1.5, you got to go with the Raiders there as well if you're taking them outright. Then we go to the New England Patriots at the New York Jets. The Jets are actually underdogs here. They're at plus 2.5. A little bit surprising when you consider they're at home, that the New England Patriots have a quarterback controversy, that, the Jets have the much better record, but it comes down to a couple things. People don't believe the Jets are as good as their record, which I would agree with. And people think the Patriots are still a talented team. They've got the pieces. This is a team that they've literally owned in the past. Bill Belichick knows the opponent well. They've got a formula that can get them the victory. To me, it's the quarterback situation, though, that I have a lot of question marks about. If they can commit to one guy and one guy only, okay, I'll take with the New England Patriots. But I think it's going to be a situation where maybe this is a better game to live bet. The New York Jets seem like the better pick on the spread here. Again, I'll ride with the New England Patriots outright because, again, I'm very worried about the New York Jets. I don't think they have that great of a situation at quarterback. I don't think they're going to be able to get away with just running the football here, especially because Breece Hall injured, done for the year. So Michael Carter, James Robinson, I don't know if that's going to be able to cut it. I'm going to go with the New England Patriots to win outright, but I will go with the New York Jets on the spread. Then we go to the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles coming off the bye week. They're the better team. They're at home. The Pittsburgh Steelers offensively, whether it's Mitch, whether it's Pickett, it doesn't matter. That offense is very, very lackluster. Both those guys are prone to mistakes, more so in Pickett, in my opinion. The Eagles have a very, very good defense. I think it's going to be a long day for the Pittsburgh Steelers offensively. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles here to win this game. Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. I don't think the Steelers are going to show all that much, kind of gusto defensively. I like the Eagles to be able to wear them down, and, they've been an offensive juggernaut pretty much since the start of the season. As long as the weather conditions are good, I like Philly to win this game and pull away as it progresses. The bettors in Vegas agree. Philly minus 11 on the spread, one of the biggest spreads on the week. I'm going to ride the Philadelphia Eagles there. If they were facing a better, quality opponent, I'd give the other team a chance, but that's not the case. Eagles outright and on the spread. Then Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. Houston at plus 2.5 here. I think the Tennessee Titans, just simply put, are the better team. The biggest thing here is what happens with Ryan Tannehill. Is he going to play this game? If he does, I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans. And if he doesn't, it's going to be Malik Willis. I would still probably go with the Tennessee Titans there, but then I wouldn't mind taking the Houston Texans on the spread. I would just probably tease it up to over 3 points, to over that field goal margin. But I think Derrick Henry and that defense facing Davis Mills is going to be enough to get a victory here. I do think it'll be on the lower scoring side of it all, again, especially if Tannehill is injured and doesn't play or just, doesn't contribute too much. So those are the stipulations there. Afterwards, we go to Washington at the Indianapolis Colts. I feel like this is one of the bigger, just coin tosses of a game. You've got two backup quarterbacks. Matt Ryan, the big news this week, he is done as a starting quarterback. Whether you want to call it a benching, whether you want to call it an injury, it's Ellinger at the helm here, and he's facing Heineke. So another fellow backup quarterback. This is going to be a game at home for the Indianapolis Colts. Both these teams, I think, are kind of underwhelming. I do think Washington is better with Heineke as their quarterback, but they're very boom or bust with him. I said this last week. I've said it all seasons prior when Heineke is their starting quarterback. He is a very, very hot and cold type of guy. He is somebody that, 1 week can look very, very serviceable and light it up through the air, and then the next week he's a turnover machine and just is having a lot of issues. The Colts defense doesn't really scare me all that much. I got to go with Washington here. I think offensively, they have the better and more experienced quarterback. They have the better weapons pass catching wise with McLaurin, with Curtis Samuel. They've got that combo of Antonio Gibson, of Brian Robinson, of McKissick. Defensively, they're good in the trenches, but other than that, it's an issue. So we'll see. That's kind of the Colts' strength. I just don't believe enough in Ellinger. I'm going to go with Washington here. The Colts are favored at -3, so I'll take Washington outright and on the spread. Moving on, we've got the San Francisco 49ers at the LA Rams. The Rams at +1 here at home. Matthew Stafford hasn't looked good. The rushing attack isn't there. The offensive line is struggling. The defense lets up big, plays. I think the 49ers, even though Jimmy Garoppolo isn't an elite quarterback, with Christian McCaffrey more involved, yes, Deebo Samuel won't be playing this game, but, McCaffrey and other guys will be able to step up here. I think the 49ers are going to bounce back defensively. The Rams are not the Kansas City Chiefs on offense. I like the 49ers defense to assert itself and to, look like a top 5 unit in the NFL again. I think that Jimmy Garoppolo won't be as stressed to put up, 30 plus, 40 plus points here. I will take the San Francisco 49ers to win this game. I think right now they're more balanced. They have more weapons offensively. They have the better defense. I will take San Fran outright and on the spread, especially since it's only +1 for the Rams. Then we go to the New York Giants at the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle here, 3-point favorites at home. I do like them to win this game. I do want to say that. Seattle, very, very tough environment for opposing teams. The Giants have to travel all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast. That's no small feat. The Seahawks defense has been kind of playing better than we would have expected. Geno Smith, similar to a Daniel Jones, has been able to be that steadying force for the team. The only thing for the Seattle Seahawks defense, they cannot stop the run. And the New York Giants, that's what they do very, very well offensively, whether it's Daniel Jones, whether it's Saquon Barkley. I think this is going to be a closer game again than people anticipate. I'm going to take Seattle, the home team, to win the game, but at -3, I think the Giants here wouldn't be shocked if they pull off the upset. I will take them on the spread. Then Sunday night, we've got the Green Bay Packers at the Buffalo Bills. Again, one of the largest spreads of the week. -11.5 for the Buffalo Bills. If you heard that at the start of the season, you would have been like, what happened with the Packers? Well, they've got injuries. Alan Lazard isn't going to play in this game. The wide receivers are hurt. They're imploding offensively. Rodgers doesn't have the weapons. They're facing one of the best teams in the NFL, one of the better defenses. They're just not built to put up a bunch of points on the road in Buffalo. Look, we might see Aaron Rodgers sling it here, but I just don't think he has enough weapons to get it done. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills here. I mean, the Packers in the last couple of weeks, they've lost to Heineke. They've lost to Zach Wilson. They've lost to Daniel Jones. Like, are you kidding me here? They're obviously a team that has a lot of issues right now. Whether it starts with the pass catchers, with Aaron Rodgers underperforming, with the defense underperforming. But again, the Packers, one of those big name teams that isn't living up to the hype right now. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. I think they can cover the spread. I think this is a game where the Packers are going to be blown out by the fourth quarter. And they do have a tendency to be a team, if they're losing big, just for them to not really be able to get back in the games. Look at week 1 versus the Minnesota Vikings. I'm taking the Bills outright and on the spread. And then finally, we got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns. Divisional clash here. The Browns getting +3 at home. The Bengals, the big news for them, Jamar Chase going to miss at least a month with a hip injury. But that's the position they're deepest in. I mean, they have got Tyler Boyd. They have got T. Higgins. They've still got Joe Mixon running the rock. Joe Burrow has been doing very well as of late. I think offensively, they're in the better situation. David Njoku is hurt for the Cleveland Browns. He's been a big part of that offense. The Browns' defense hasn't been great either. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals to win this game. I realize it's a divisional clash. I realize it's in Cleveland. But I think right now they're trending in the right direction. And, Joe Burrow over Jacoby Brissett, yes and yes. I just don't think the Browns are going to be able to keep pace with the Bengals with the firepower they have offensively, and the Browns being a run-first team. So give me Cincinnati to win this game outright and then cover the 3 on the spread. But with that, we wrap up our pick'ems. Now let's look at our locks of the week. We start with the Chicago Bears at the Dallas Cowboys. We're not talking about covering that spread of -10. Again, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bears pull off covering on the spread, but outright in Dallas versus this offense, versus this defense. I think last week versus New England Patriots, a very up and down team. That's not going to be duplicated here versus Dallas. Give me the Dallas Cowboys to win this contest. Then we go to the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Philadelphia Eagles. I like the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, to nobody's shock, I don't believe in Kenny Pickett. I'd probably be picking the opponent that's facing the Steelers and Kenny Pickett very, very often. That's the case here, and it just so happens to be the Philadelphia Eagles, the lone undefeated team in the NFL. And then finally, we have got the Green Bay Packers at the Buffalo Bills. Give me the Buffalo Bills to win this game. The Packers just not playing good football. They're injured. They can't keep pace with the Bills on the road here. Buffalo to win. But with that, we wrap up our Week 8 NFL game picks, outright versus the spread, along with our locks of the week. As always, if you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? We will do our best to answer them all. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future